What's up, guys? My name is the Case Bandit, and today I have a very special guest with me. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but we met, should I say, 2 years ago?
Yes.
2 years ago. We did I think it was like an outdoor pilot. It was a pilot of a podcast. I didn't know it was gonna manifest to something that's this big right now.
Okay.
But at least, she just came in. I've surprised her with like the whole setup and where I'm doing the podcast now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let her introduce herself before we just start chatting.
Make me sound like some, huge deal.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal. So
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Norah. I live in London, UK, but my family is of East African origin. I come to Kenya quite a lot. This is my fourth visit to Kenya.
Yeah.
I love Nairobi.
Mm-hmm.
And I met John a couple of years ago, I think through social media. Maybe, do we know mutual friends? I don't know.
It was like the Insta meet.
It was the Insta meet. So I went on an Insta meet, great, with these amazing creatives from Kenya. And by the way, Kenya has some of the best photographers and creatives around. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should run the country because basically
Hopefully.
it's where it's at. No, there are some amazing people. Nima, who's at the Mongolese on IG.
Yeah.
There's Jay. There's
She's in
Truth
Tanzania
Slinger.
right now.
She's in Tanzania. She's gone back to Dar es Salaam. Hey, Nima.
Shout outs to Nima.
And yeah, a lot of these really, really cool guys. Khadija Farah, I don't know if you know her. She's
Yeah.
also an amazing photographer.
Yeah.
She was at the Insta Meet.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of people. So I met John at this Insta Meet, and then he wanted to meet up again later on to do like a quick chat. So we met on the top of the KICC rooftop.
Yeah.
Iconic building in Nairobi. And like the sun was going down. He pulled out his... what did you have with you? Your GoPro?
No, it was my iPhone.
Was it your iPhone?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And we just did a little interview there. That was a bit surprising. I was kind of put me on the spot, but it turned out cool.
Mm-hmm. Was that like your first video like thingy interview like that? Or had you done like others before?
I mean, I do them all the time. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And it was cool. And he
But you
posted
see-
some clips on his Instagram. I was like, look at this. And my friends were like, are you famous? I was like, in Kenya now. Not really.
But you see, that inspired like what I'm actually like even doing right now.
So that inspired your podcast.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey. So now, when I started this whole podcast, the theme of I call it the Kiskapades podcast.
Okay.
Because, my name fused with me just moving around and fun and just life and everything.
Okay.
So the podcast evolves around the 4 pillars of life.
Which are?
Do you know them?
I don't know. Tell me what you think they are. I don't know. They might be different. I might say some random thing and you're like, that's not it.
Health,
Yes.
wealth,
Okay.
love,
Okay.
and happiness.
Okay.
Basically that.
Yes.
So we're just gonna bounce on and off from all the 4, because everybody seems to be having like a different story once you mention something in any of the 4.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for you, let's just start with what you do, because
Yes.
how I know you is like you just travel a lot.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
I mean, what's the backstory to that? And just what makes you wake up every other day and just plan a trip, like go to a different country, experience a different culture with different people?
Okay.
Yeah.
But that's
And
not,
you travel alone, right?
I do a lot of solo travel.
Yeah. But what's your major? Is that like your normal job? Or?
No.
Okay.
No.
What's your normal
Some
job?
people looking at like my Instagram just assume that that's what I do for a living. It's not.
Yeah. You get paid to travel.
I don't get paid to travel. I should get paid to travel. Somebody pay me to travel, please. Inshallah, somebody pays me to travel.
Yes.
But I'm actually a teacher by trade. I'm a teacher trainer. I work in the English language field in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is we train teachers, people who want to come into teaching in the English language field.
Yeah.
So either I'm training or I'm teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, and I've been doing that for like a long time. Before that, I
What do you
flirted
teach?
with banking for a while, and I hated it. So I moved
Banking?
to teaching. Yeah, don't even. It's a long story.
You don't even want to talk about
It's
it.
a long story. Yeah, it wasn't for me. I quickly realized it wasn't for me. The money's great, but you hand over your life to people. And
I
it's
can't do
not-
that.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. and I couldn't travel. Can you imagine?
Because of the hours and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have any free?
It's corporate. Anything corporate, you're like sucked in, and they kind of give you the incentive with the money, but then you quickly realize that you're selling your soul.
It's not worth it. I
No.
was in advertising, and
Yeah.
I mean, it just took me quite a while to realize, like, it's not even worth it. Doesn't matter how much you pay me, I just won't be happy.
Yeah. And then, what's money if you don't have the time to spend it,
Yeah.
or
What's the point of making
people
all
to
that
spend
money?
it with, because you
True.
lose your friends and family because you're never there. So I was happy to move on. So teaching is cool.
Yeah.
It's a rewarding job. I like seeing, contrary to banking, I like seeing the result of what I do.
Yeah.
And I'm a people person, I like communicating. It's a communicative job.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it. Obviously the pay is nowhere near anything corporate, so it was a huge pay cut. However,
Yeah.
the upside is you have longer breaks,
Yeah.
and that's when I travel.
And you can actually just do other things. And even if you want to do like business on the side, isn't that like the perfect time to actually just figure out what you can?
Yeah, I mean, I like writing sometimes. I've blogged before. You just have time for whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Whatever your passion is,
Mhm.
or if you just want to relax, do that. Whatever you need to do. So because there are more there's more annual leave.
Yeah.
In that time, basically, anytime I get annual leave, I look up a flight and try and leave the country because the UK is very cold
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah.
And I've just always been curious about traveling. Even as a child, I really enjoyed I had more of a global outlook.
Yeah. You're curious about what's happening out there.
Yeah, and so it was partly curiosity and excitement about seeing other countries. And then as I've got to travel to more countries, sometimes it's a bit of escapism because your daily grind sometimes
Escaping
can
reality.
get you down. Yeah, it
Yeah,
can get
yeah.
you a little bit like
You can get swallowed up in that world and just get like depressed with, like, if you're having like just a normal
yes.
that one routine over and over and over again.
Yes, so it's a lot, and I also had family commitments as well. So
Yeah.
you're giving a lot of yourself, and it's important to have that time just for yourself. So sometimes I used to be like, let me go here and climb this and visit
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
I don't usually go to one place for like 2 weeks. Like I would try
Yeah.
and hit like 3 or 4 places.
Yeah.
So I was always on the go.
Uh-huh.
And then more recently, sometimes I'm like, okay, let me just spend like a week in this place, or just, and it depends how I'm feeling. Sometimes I just want to rest. So I just came back from the coast. I was in Watamu, and I love the Kenyan coast.
How was that?
Oh my God, the Kenyan coast is the best coast. And Tanzania.
Amazing,
also.
huh?
Really, East African coast is...
Yeah,
it's
Mombasa.
Beautiful.
Dar es Salaam,
beautiful.
Zanzibar.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
And I know like a lot of people like just save a lot to come and experience that in Europe, and at times we take it for granted.
I mean, you guys, honestly, you
Yeah.
need to kiss your hands on both sides with the no, but honestly, the blessings that you have in nature. You can leave Nairobi and go to the mountains.
Yeah.
You can go to one of the national parks.
Yeah.
You don't even have to have like a lot of money. You can just like, if you can all get clubbed together and
with
get a
$2,
car.
I can go and feed the giraffes and
You know
just
what I
pet
mean?
them and just
I've
clear
been
my head.
4 years in a row. I came back to Nairobi I was in Ethiopia for a week. Then I came to
Yeah.
Nairobi. Unfortunately, I got food poisoning
What
on my
happened?
last day in Addis.
Do you wanna talk about that?
Oh
No?
my God! Yeah, fine.
But-
I went to a Lebanese restaurant. Everybody was like, Ethiopia, careful with the food. Careful. It wasn't the Ethiopian food.
Yeah.
It was a Lebanese food.
Yeah.
So big up Lebanon. No, I love Lebanese food, but I went there and something was up. But anyway, I continued eating when I shouldn't have.
I mean, if you just have like that second thought in food, like you just wake up and leave. Don't even complain about it. Just pay for it
I know.
and leave. That's what I normally do.
I had my flight like 2 hours later, and I hadn't eaten all day, and I was just hungry, and I think that took over.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, 3 days I came to Nairobi for 3 days. I was in bed,
I'm so
and it
sorry.
was the worst.
I'm so
It was
sorry.
and I was so looking forward to meeting people and doing things.
A
I
lot of
love
things.
Nairobi, yeah.
Oh, that's why you're rushing to come back to Nairobi.
I had to come back for at
Because
least
at
a day.
least, when are you leaving?
Tomorrow.
You're leaving tomorrow.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
But at least you've actually just spared some time to come and meet me.
I
And that's why I was trying to tell you, like, I really want us to do this.
Yes.
And I need us to do it here. 'Cause
Okay.
do you see why? Because it makes sense. Because
Yeah.
it's not even easy to get space to just shoot something casually
That's
like
amazing.
this.
They give you this. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool.
Shout outs to Art Cafe.
Yeah.
And she's actually like one of your favorite, like,
I like Art Cafe.
I mean, imagine.
Art Cafe, can you sponsor me?
They should sponsor your trips to come back
No,
to
no,
Kenya.
I honestly eat breakfast there at Yaya every day.
Every day.
Almost every day, yeah.
What?
Well,
Okay,
you know,
Art Cafe, I hope you've had that, eh?
so, you know.
Yeah.
No,
What do you
they're
think of their breakfast?
Good.
Because I've been doing like I've been doing breakfast like from like December till January, like
Really?
every single
What's
day
your
as well.
favorite? What's your favorite one?
Sicilian breakfast.
Really?
Yeah. What's your favorite?
I like the Art Cafe one. I like the French toast one.
Oh, the French toast is
it's
nice.
very good,
But I
isn't
think
it?
it's too sweet for me.
Is it? No.
Yeah.
No, nothing's ever too sweet for me. But this is after you poured all that honey in your tea.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean.
You should try it. You
Yeah.
might like it. You should try it.
Yeah,
So, no. So I like and I think in general Kenya has really good food.
Amazing,
Really
huh?
good food. Yeah.
Okay, so let's touch a base on, because I've never seen you share any of your like now regular job
Yeah.
pictures or story. You don't mention it at all. Like, for real, I didn't even know that you're a teacher, Norah.
Really?
Yes.
I just don't talk about it. Huh?
I mean, what do you teach?
So I teach English as a foreign language,
Mm-hmm.
and then I also train. There's a course called the CELTA course, which is it's a Cambridge-run course.
Yeah.
And if people who want to get into teaching English, usually they do it because they want to travel abroad,
Oh yeah.
and
yeah.
it's like an internationally recognized one.
Yeah.
So people who go traveling sometimes want to do it so they can work as they travel.
Yeah.
Some people just want to move into a different career, so we also run those courses. So I kind of alternate between teaching and training. We
So
actually
teaching,
yeah,
but so is it teaching like just adults or kids? as well?
adults.
Or adults.
It's adults.
I know it could be crazy teaching kids in UK.
It could be. It's
need
a different
therapy for
kind
that.
Just
mean,
in
'cause
case
I mean-
the UK kids are watching.
No. I'm just saying. You know why? Cause
No
I'm just saying, cause like, you know, they're very outspoken.
Yeah.
Anybody who's from like Europe and America, it's completely different from how we are, like in
The kids here.
Kenya.
The
Kids
kids
here,
are-
it's
they're
like
so-
discipline.
But
You know,
they're
it's
so-
still instilled quite.
I like it though.
It is.
Isn't it nice when you
That's
get
what
some
I'm saying.
respect?
From the videos I see online, I see kids slapping teachers, talking back
No.
to teachers. Like, there's just too much freedom. And I think it's just like the difference in culture and just development, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you have some schools where it gets a bit wild,
Yeah,
and you have
yeah.
some schools where people are disciplined. It's different, but I think, you have more freedom in what you want to say. Like, I think at primary school, secondary school, we said sir and miss, and then after that, once
Yeah.
you develop after, you just call them by their names. And
Wow.
so my students, even when I get students who are 18 plus, so the ones who are like 18 to 25,
Yeah.
they still call me teacher or professora. And I'm like, you don't have to call me professora. And they're like, no, we can't say your name. It's just disrespectful.
It's
in our-
not
in it.
respectful.
We can't do that. And I'm like, okay. So there are differences like that. I like teaching adults because if you don't want to be here, the door is right there.
Yeah.
And there's no one's forcing you. It's not by force.
Because
You know.
anybody who's working in that class, they come there because they really need to learn what
Most
they've
of
come
them.
for. Yeah.
Most of them. You do get a few whose parents are paid and they're a bit like, heads on the table. But I'm like, no, I'm like, this is not a hotel, guys. You can leave. I'm
You
making
can
really
leave if you
clear.
want.
Yeah.
You can leave if you want.
I'm quite strict, I think.
You are?
Yeah, I'm quite strict.
Really?
Yeah.
But are you like a friendly teacher? Like, if somebody meets you outside the class, they'd be glad to say hi to you?
I think they love me,
Uh-huh.
but when they first meet me, they're like, we thought you were unfriendly. Actually, a lot of people, when they first meet me, they're like, you look quite serious, and not when I'm traveling because I'm more at ease. I don't know.
Even
like,
when I met you, I thought
you?
you were a bit serious. But like, for me, I'm always like, no, you can't be that serious.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Why did you think I was serious?
I just don't know. I just got that feeling
Okay.
and I was thinking, because even like from the people like I engage with and interact with,
Yeah.
I just try and diversify, like, because I want to learn from like different people.
Yeah.
So at first, when I was saying hi to you,
Yeah.
yes, you smiled,
Yeah.
but it was like one of those smiles, like, those fake smiles,
Oh,
like they're just like, like, I'm just doing
Was
that.
it a fake smile?
It was a
might
fake
ha-
smile.
It might have been
Yeah,
a fake smile.
but
I didn't know you.
But you always have to be on guard, though.
I think I'm a bit guarded.
Yeah.
but it depends where I am. If I'm comfortable in my environment, like,
Yeah.
I know Nairobi
Yeah.
well now, well, my areas I go around.
Yeah.
And so I'm comfortable and
Plus, you didn't know me. I just came
I
up
didn't
to you,
know
and you
you.
remember I just asked you to do something for a video.
yeah.
And you're like, so the fake smile was there.
I think I was like, I remember that.
You
No,
do
I remember that.
remember,
I
right?
remember that. 'Cause
Yes.
you were like, who is this? What is it today? And I was Insta, and I was like, this camera's in my face. I didn't know the camera was going to be in my face.
I have to make that content by all means necessary.
That was hilarious. I know.
No, but
You're
at
like-
least like after just chatting with you online and stuff, you get more comfortable with someone, and I can't blame you. Because even
Yeah.
plus, in fact, that takes me to like the next question, because you keep traveling a lot.
Yeah.
Because you spend, I don't know how you manage to like just get free time from like teaching. Is
We get
it
like
seasonal?
6 weeks.
6 weeks
Yeah.
off?
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing.
So it's amazing,
Because
isn't
with
it?
6 weeks you can do a lot. So
I try to do it like every 3 months, and then Christmas is closed. So if I can afford it, I might travel then.
Yeah.
But I try and plan ahead. So I'm like, okay. I used to be planner to the T, where I used to write down where I'm
Everything.
going every day, like, and then I check up the restaurants and the activities in each area. So I would like curate this thing. And really, I should be selling itineraries. But anyway, that's another story. But then the last couple of years,
What
just
happened?
for like, no, I had like issues, like family health issues and whatever, and things that affected me. So I ended up being last minute trips.
Yeah.
But then that, in
But
a way,
do you think
it
it's
teaches you to
actually
be, no, it teaches you to be a
to
bit more
blend in?
flexible,
Yeah,
to be a
'cause-
bit more like,
Because if you
okay,
had planned this and then this goes wrong, you're like, okay, I'm good. I can still,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be like strict, because if you go off your
No.
script, you're like, oh my. So
Like the
what am I
trip to the
supposed
coast,
Yeah.
I booked the flight 4 hours before I flew. That was like the ultimate
'Cause,
last minute.
And I was just thinking like, wow, if I don't meet you,
yeah.
I'm 100% sure. So that's why I was like, I kept sending you a message. Are we still on for Saturday?
Yeah.
Are we still on for Saturday?
I
And-
literally arrived last night, and I was like,
Yeah. And you see, if I
okay.
didn't meet you like right now, you're flying out tomorrow.
I know. It'd be maybe another 6 months or a year
It
before
would be
I
tragic.
really.
So speaking of traveling, you travel a lot.
Okay.
A lot.
Okay.
But how do you, because like for a lot of people are afraid of just doing it
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Like for you, I remember you told me, what's your theme? I'm solo
Female traveler
female
of color.
traveler of color.
Black and brown travelers.
Yeah.
We need to be out there more.
There's a friend of mine who doesn't like it when they use the word female.
A
don't know
woman
why.
traveler, female traveler.
Yeah.
They
So
don't
I
like that?
No, I'm just saying. That's why I was like, I'm not sure whether that's about.
Well, it's an upgrade from the last word you used the last time I spoke to you.
Which was what?
Chick.
Oh shit.
Do you remember that?
Yes. Yes.
I was like, what? What did I
But-
just hear?
But
What?
listen, you have to forgive me because
No,
I
you've
just-
upgraded your life.
I just jumped into. I'm learning a lot.
You-
I'm learning a lot
No,
because you
no.
know why?
Well done.
Because I was just talking like how I normally talk to my friends,
I
and
know.
that's how we talk.
I know.
So even at times I'd be somewhere and then I'm having a conversation, and then you'd see people looking at you, and then I didn't even realize I'm not supposed to be saying that or just talking like.
You were just relaxed.
Yeah, but I'm just
it's okay.
I'm learning.
glad that you were relaxed in my company. That's good.
I am. So
That's good.
talking of traveling, like how do you just get comfortable moving around alone in a new environment? Like you can pick a place like, was it your first time in Ethiopia or had you gone there
It's
before?
my first time in Ethiopia.
Yeah, but just how do you just wake up, go to a whole different country
Yeah.
with nobody, just alone? I see you blending in with people, taking pictures. and-
Basically, I look
Yeah.
Ethiopian, so everybody thought I was local. They're speaking to me in Amharic, and the shock on their faces when I couldn't speak Amharic
Like,
was like, okay, are you diaspora? And I'm
What?
like, no.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then my father's Somali, and
Yeah.
so obviously I was like, it's just across the
Your
border.
father is Somali
Yeah.
and your mom is
Egyptian Somali.
Egyptian Somali.
But,
Oh wow.
Yeah, so
Where did they meet?
in Egypt.
They have that backstory?
Yeah,
Okay, we'll save that for another podcast.
make it another podcast.
Yeah.
they divorced as well, so maybe not.
Oh, okay. No, there's always a story to
There's
that.
always a story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
So yeah, we're talking about how do you just
Get up and decide you're going to
Yeah.
go to another country.
and
I
just
think
blend in with these people? I mean, because that's Ethiopia, but I've seen you in many other
countries.
countries. Were you in
Okay.
Cuba?
a
Or
long
was it
time ago. No,
Cuba?
Cuba was like 8 years ago. It's changed now.
It's
Yeah.
changed a lot.
Yeah, I have some people close to me who want to go, and I'm like,
Yeah.
shall I go with them or not? But I know it's
If it's
different.
been 8 years,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole new experience, I'm sure, if you go there again.
Yeah.
How
But
many-
anyways.
how many countries have you been to, like, in total?
I hate that question.
No, I have to know.
I think 37 now.
37 countries.
36 or 37, something like that, yeah.
36 countries.
Yeah.
36, 37, it's all the same, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you wake up and just pick a country and just decide to go to that country? And even just the discipline maybe you require to put money aside for your trips and everything.
Okay.
Because if somebody maybe sees or hears you say that, you know,
Yeah.
I've been to 37 countries, they're like,
Yeah.
what?
Okay, let me
Do you have-
let me break it down. So
Yeah.
first of all, you
Yeah.
know, like it's not
Do you have
like
a rich boyfriend who's paying
No,
for your trips
no,
and stuff?
No, I do everything myself. I do not have, you know, anybody. Nobody funds me. But if anybody wants to fund me,
Yeah, please, by all
I'm
means.
not a rich boyfriend. But if anybody like an organization,
An organization, yeah.
I am open to collaborations. No, I'm only joking. It's not like I've done these countries over the last like 3 years or something. Like so, I get maybe 6 weeks. So what I do is every time I have those 6 weeks, I try and go somewhere.
Yeah.
At least 2 of them might be somewhere new, and 1 of them will be often somewhere that I enjoy, like Kenya. I come back to Kenya.
Yeah,
so I
you
used to
love
be
Kenya.
like, I love Kenya, but I used to be like someone new for the, like, I would say the last 7-8 years,
Yeah.
maybe even 9 years, I've been traveling a lot more. Before that, I was traveling
That's-
with family and friends. But
Oh,
did
did they inspire that? Did they inspire you to just taking trips or?
No, not really. My mum was an avid traveller. Her health isn't great at the moment, so she can't
Yeah.
travel as much. But we used to travel together a lot.
Oh,
She loves traveling. But, you know, it's like...
and shout outs to your mom,
I
because I
know.
mean, she instilled that, you know, like whole movement thing from one
Yeah.
place to another.
Yeah, she loves it as well, and you know, so we used to enjoy traveling together.
Yeah.
But so you can imagine if it's like 3, I try if I've got the funds to travel like 3 times a year. I have to travel once for work, so that's like another trip. So that's usually for work.
Yeah.
It's usually in Europe.
Yeah. And that's
Sorry, Europe for me is a
that's-
bit like it's a
that's
bit
like
boring.
Yeah, because it's just like here in Tanzania. It's not like
Yeah.
somewhere you'll experience
It's
something
not.
completely
I prefer
different.
to go like, and
Yeah.
I have a connection with being in like in Africa, Latin America, Asia to a degree, depends
How
where.
important is that?
I just feel more comfortable when I'm in Africa. I feel more connected. I know my roots are from here, but even so, I haven't been brought up here. But like the weather's good, the people in general, I just connect with a bit more.
Yeah.
I'm not a resort and whatever kind of person. Usually, when I'm out somewhere, I like to do things and see local people and eat in local places.
But how are you comfortable doing that? Like, you're not afraid of getting robbed,
I mean,
conned?
okay, I tell you, the only time I started to get a little bit worried, the first time people started to get in my head, because I went to like Mexico City, I've been to Rio, I've been to some of these Jamaica, and people were like, "You're going there," and I was like, "Yeah, fine, you know, it's fine." I spoke a bit of Spanish. I don't think about it as the negative, as people think about it as, "Oh my God," like the way you said, "How do you get up and think by yourself as a woman?" I think about it as, this is just another country.
Yeah.
I'm excited to go to another country.
Yeah.
There are people who live there. So when I went to the same year I went to Mexico, I think I went to Mexico and Brazil in the same year, or alternate years.
Yeah.
People were like, "You're going to two of the highest homicide capitals in the
Yes.
world." And I was like, you wouldn't be saying that if I was going to Chicago. Okay, which
Okay,
is the
Chicago.
homicide capital of the US.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I love Chicago, by the way. It's a cool place, but I'm just talking facts, yeah?
It's true.
But
we
nobody
see-
says anything about like people carrying guns in the US. Well,
Yeah.
we see the result of it, but nobody's like, don't go there because they carry guns. Don't go.
right to bear arms, of course. You know, it just comes with a lot.
I mean, they can do that. I completely disagree, but that's what they want to do. They can do that. But
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and these other countries have fascinating culture,
Yeah.
good history, good weather, good food, good art, good culture. What's going to stop me from going there? Like, there's so much going for those places. If
Yeah.
you think the positive outweighs the negative, it's not like regular people walk down the street and get shot down every day.
Yeah.
People live their lives. They go to markets. They go to school.
People do normal things there as well.
They do normal things.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like, I'm obviously careful because I know if I'm going alone as a woman, I have to take precautions. I'm not going to be walking into any favela anytime soon, even though you can do favela tours, but that's a slightly I don't know. It's not cool for me. You just go to regular places. You're careful. I'm more careful in the evening, obviously.
Yeah.
So in the evening, if I'm going out in the evening, I'll take, cabs and things like that.
Yeah.
During the day, if it's safe, I'll take regular public transport because I'm also trying to save the coins.
Yeah.
And I
As you
travel
should,
budget.
as you
And I
should.
travel budget. I'm
Yeah.
not out here balling on
Yeah.
spending all these. I'm not staying in like high-end places. I go use Airbnb, even though I don't know if I should be promoting them, but I use them a lot.
You can plug them if you want. If you had good experiences.
Are they paying me?
No,
I'm just joking
they
with you.
they might see this video and be like,
Yeah.
okay, she's been traveling, she's been to 36 countries.
Let's see. Let's see.
Yeah, you never know.
So I try and use places which are economical but also safe at the same time.
Yeah.
If I have to pay a bit more to be safe in an area or in a country that's maybe
You
not
do it.
safe, then obviously I do it because your safety comes first.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's not I think isn't it like a logical thing? Like
Yeah.
with your family, you think about safety. With yourself, you think about safety. I'm not a 16-year-old who's going to be like running around doing ridiculous things. Like,
Yeah.
you look after yourself, but at
Yeah.
the same time, you can still walk down the street. Like in Jamaica, I walked down downtown Jamaica, which is like, apparently people are like, it's a bit dangerous. Maybe at night.
You just walked through and
Regular people.
have
I
you
went
ever-
to markets. I talked to people.
I see you doing
Nothing
that in
happened.
pictures, and then I'm like, okay. Now, first of all, I wouldn't be able to do it.
I think you would.
I know I
Once
can,
you-
but I just have to shake it off my head that, like you've said, the positives outweigh the negatives, right?
But honestly, if we come down to it, who taught you that these places are dangerous?
I've just seen on YouTube people
Okay.
getting robbed, especially Brazil.
Okay. But why don't we say that about the US?
Well,
Well, you don't know.
Chicago for sure.
Somebody
I know.
could lift their shirt and be carrying a gun legally in that country.
yeah.
You don't
The
know
school
who's doing
shootings
what.
and everything.
The school shootings, the stuff that goes on there
Yeah.
all the time. Like every day,
Yeah.
somebody gets gunned down. Why is that? So we have to really think about media portrayal. And I don't want to take it too deep, but I'm just telling you.
But it makes sense. When you're saying that, it makes sense because I think what's been put out there is what you keep feeding yourself.
Yeah.
And then that makes you even afraid to go and experience something that is actually completely different. Because I'm sure even there are some people who like when you just say I'm sure after the 2 or 3 weeks ago, we had like a terror attack.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they issued
Yeah.
what do you call them? Travel
Warnings.
yeah, you shouldn't go to Kenya and
Yeah.
stuff. But if that gets in your head,
Yeah.
you definitely won't come here.
Okay, let me tell you something.
And they even said don't hang out in malls. Okay.
What?
Look at us at a
Hi
terrace
guys,
shooting
this
a
is
podcast.
mall,
Imagine.
Okay, there are a couple
So-
of things I want to say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I was coming to Kenya anyway, and then
Yeah.
I hadn't booked anything, and I said, I'm definitely coming to Kenya after this, because, I live in Europe,
Yeah.
and in Europe, over the last 3 or 4 years, London and Paris have been hit, unfortunately,
Yeah.
multiple times.
Yeah.
So multiple times these cities have been hit.
Yeah.
Okay, some of them not very far from where I live, like half an hour away.
Wow.
The day we had even the 7/7 bombings, like 10 years ago now, 12 years ago, whatever it was, I was at work and I was near one of the stations where it happened, and I had to make sure my students were accounted for and everything, so I've experienced these things.
Yeah.
I know people who were involved in the 9/11, working in those
Wow.
buildings, and
Yeah.
so but the point is, London and Paris the last 2 years
They've been
hit.
Yeah.
More, I think Paris was like 4 times in 1 year.
And
There
it
were 4
was-
things going
It was
on.
insane.
The UK, we
Yeah.
had the Manchester, we had London Bridge, we had all these things that are going on.
Yeah.
Is anyone telling people do not go? Travel
No,
warning,
no.
news flash,
No.
don't go to London. News flash, don't go to Paris.
In
No,
fact,
they don't
after
do
that incident, you just see a whole different. Those images are never shown again.
Okay, we're going to do our Facebook. Pray for Paris, pray for London. Okay, pray for
Yeah,
them.
yeah,
First
yeah.
of all, we should pray for all the countries
All
if
the
we're going to go
countries.
down that
True,
route. But that's
true.
the thing.
Yeah.
And then people were supporting and wanting to come as a. And this is the way I feel about Kenya. I said, okay,
Yeah.
I'm definitely coming back.
Uh-huh.
Because I know how economically these things affect Kenya.
They don't keep issuing the same do not travel to Paris.
No.
That's- yeah.
Quite the contrary. People go there to support, and I was like, I'm coming to Kenya to support
Yeah.
because I know the way that it can impact this country economically.
Which it already has.
Yeah.
Of course, even though we wouldn't know the statistics,
Yeah.
but definitely if the alerts have been sent out,
Yeah.
it means definitely the tourism might be affected.
Yeah.
Just for this year,
Yeah.
might take a hit a bit.
I remember when I was in Diani a couple of years ago near Mombasa, and
Yeah.
people on the beach were telling me there's no work because it was like 6 years since the last incident or something, 5 years, and people were still being affected.
Yeah,
So I know how these things can affect the country long term.
yeah,
So, I mean, I live in a city that's been affected by these kind of attacks, and people still come there. So I'm still going to come here.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. So I mean,
And I hope more people do. It's actually very, in general, like I'm just looking at the entrance to this mall now. People are being checked as they go in.
yeah.
You don't do that in the UK, actually.
you can't what?
You don't
can't
see this
search
kind
people.
of no, but you don't have this kind of the security
Oh,
as tight as this.
it's a. Okay.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you know, if anything, it's I would say safer because people are
Yeah.
checking a bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's an amazing country. It's an amazing region to come to. The
Yeah.
whole of like East Africa in general.
Yeah.
Ethiopia was very different because it's a bit more. A bit more raw. I went to some of the rural areas.
Yeah.
But Addis is a huge hub. It's a business
'Cause
hub.
I've wanted to go to Ethiopia for the longest time.
You should go.
And for us, it's like for a return flight.
It's 1 hour 40 minutes.
Where?
1 hour 40 minutes.
1 hour 40 minutes.
Addis to Nairobi.
And I think it's like, how much is it? It's like $200, or can you
I
get
don't know.
a cheaper flight?
I did it as a trip from UK,
Or
Ethiopia, Kenya, and then I'm going back. So
okay.
I don't know how much, but I'm sure.
But I think I've been told like I can get as good as a $200 deal.
I'm sure you can.
So,
And the good thing about Ethiopian Airlines, shout out Ethiopian Airlines,
Hey.
is that they
Are they paying you? Are they
are
paying
not
for your
paying
flights?
me. Shall I just cancel
No,
that
no,
bit out?
no, no,
Cancel
no.
that bit out.
No, I mean people that you experience good service with them, you always
But let me
can
tell you
just pick them
something.
up. Yeah.
If you fly in on Ethiopian Airlines, you can take domestic flights you get a huge discount.
Mhm.
So if it's like 100, because it's a huge country, if you're flying
Yeah.
from one end to the country to the other,
Yeah.
it might be 180, then it'll be like 100 or 60 or 70.
$70.
Yeah. So,
Going to a different.
so because it's huge distances, like
Yeah.
instead of taking days in a bus.
So
you
they have
fly-
I mean, do they have enough like airports? They have different.
Yes, it's it's
Then I think Ethiopia is a good place to explore.
super place to explore.
Wow.
I thoroughly recommend it. Thoroughly recommend it.
When it comes to let's talk about like from the 36 countries.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
Which is your favorite?
No.
No, okay.
Of course, which is your favorite?
No, I can't answer that question.
Okay, but which ones like made an impact to you, like you've never forgotten about them? Because 36 is a lot, but you know that like definitely like Kenya. The way you come back to Kenya, it's
Yeah.
because you definitely have
Yeah.
like you just experienced something, the people, the culture, the food,
You know
or
what?
just something that makes you keep coming back. Like
I used to be like, okay, let's go to new places, and then
Yeah.
I'm not traveling for numbers, right?
Yeah.
So I.
are you sure you're not traveling for numbers?
No, I'm not traveling for numbers. At
Sure, your
all.
passport is like. Or what kind of passport do you have?
Just a regular passport.
Is it a digital one? No, it's a regular book,
Just
right?
a regular one, yeah.
But a big fat book
It's
that's
not. I
been
just-
stamped multiple.
You have to change them. Like you have to.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When it gets full, you have to change them.
Yeah.
But,
Mhm.
yeah, so I just travel. I want to experience more places, but the last few years, I really wanted to experience more places in Africa. So, like
Yeah.
last year, for example,
Yeah.
and the reason sometimes it might seem like a lot is I try to pack in as much as I can. So I knew I was coming to East Africa last year.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to go to a place in Uganda called Lake Bunyoni. I don't know if you've heard of
I've
it.
seen people posting pictures, and I think for this year I might also go.
It's beautiful.
Cause like everybody, that's crazy. You know what? Do you know Truth Slinger?
Yeah,
You know him?
Mutua.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
So we
I
did
actually messaged him the other day, and I was like, "We should meet." And he was in Diani. He was like, "Damn."
Oh yeah.
But anyway, he
So
was on the wrong side.
we were talking about traveling, and he
Yeah.
was telling me, why am I planning to go to all these other places like Thailand and all those places, and I haven't even checked out places like Bunyoni.
Completely.
I haven't gone to Ethiopia. He's like, bro, you need to go and experience these
Yes.
places,
Yeah.
and you'd be surprised. Because first of all, they're just around me, and I haven't even gone
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
And okay, shout out to Tusinga and all those guys. They
Yeah.
did this project called Unscrambling Africa,
Yeah.
which is when I kind of discovered them.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because it's a play on the Scramble for Africa, if you know that, right? The
Yeah.
whole country's kind of coming in, trying to take over.
Yeah.
And it was showcasing, I think it was 10 African cities
Yeah.
by road. And it was an amazing project. So
Yeah.
really good project. Shout out them.
Shout outs to Mutua Madeka.
I haven't even met him. I met Joe. You know Joe?
He's Joe Waring?
Yeah. He came to the UK, but I haven't met Mutu. So hopefully next time, inshallah. But yeah, you have so many places on your doorstep. Why not explore? Like, why not explore? And there are some similarities, yes, but there are lots of differences. So Lake Bunyoni is amazing, and I needed to unwind. I was going through a lot of stress at the time, and when I got there, I was so glad I went there. It's just... oh my God, they gave me like a $10 upgrade, and they gave me this, like, literally this huge chalet villa. I couldn't believe where I was.
What? Yeah.
And I woke up and by the terrace, and I could see this lake in front of me. Oh my God, it was
amazing.
Fairy tale. So to get there, to fly into Kampala, 8 hours to go all the way across, and I said, didn't make sense. So I flew into Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda, and it's 3 hours across the border.
To Uganda?
To this place in Uganda, West Uganda, Bunyoni. Yeah. So I ended up saying, okay, let me just spend a couple of days.
So it has an airport close there?
You can go over the border. So it's not an airport. So if you go to Kigali, you can go over the border, and there's a little, just get an immigration stamp, and it takes 2 minutes, and then you cross the border. It's a coach, essentially. Yeah. And then it takes you to Kabale, and from Kabale you get a taxi, and then you're in the place. It's
amazing.
It's amazing. And so out of that, I got 3 trips. So I came to Rwanda, and I said, it would be a shame not to spend a couple of days there. Let me spend the weekend in Kigali, which is the cleanest city I've ever seen in my life, by the way.
Really?
If you want to see a clean city, forget about USA, forget about UK, forget about Australia, forget about
Nairobi.
Go to Kigali and see what they're doing. What they've done after the genocide, the Rwandan genocide, is just exceptional. Like, the city, they've brought the people together. It was fascinating. So it's really clean. I arrived there on a day called Umuganda.
What's that?
Umuganda is like communal cleaning. So the Airbnb guy was saying to me, you can't go out. I said, why can't I go out? Yeah. Because if you go out, they're going to drag you to do some communal cleaning. So I had to wait till midday.
I had that, and I thought it was a joke, and it's an actual thing. But the way everybody's saying, like, that place is sparkling clean.
What is there to clean? First of all, I was like, what is there to clean? There's nothing to clean. But everyone has this clean ethic, like their front yards are clean, spotless. Yeah. And then I have a connect there from when I was in Senegal, so I met up with her. And Kigali's cool. Then I crossed the border and then went to Bunyoni and then went to Kampala. Spent a few days in Uganda, and then I came to Kenya. So out of that 2 weeks, I was in 3 countries.
3 countries.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of every year one country. You might think, how did I build up? So I try to incorporate.
But would you say the highest made impact on you?
Okay, so back to your question. Sorry, I rambled. Yeah. It's more than one place, and it can be also how you're feeling at the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you might be feeling, I don't know, emotional or something, and you need to be somewhere with nature. You might be feeling like a bit bored, and you need a place where there's action and for me, it's more to do with, I think, the land, the nature, but the people as well. You know what I mean?
So when
you make good connections, or the people. For me, I love talking to taxi drivers because I travel alone a lot, and then it's fascinating what you find out.
Well, I'm still waiting for you to mention countries, and you don't want to drop names.
I can't really drop.
It's 36.
Okay, so Kenya, for sure.
Yeah.
I think.
Because somebody might be watching and then they'll say like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because I also like that made an impact on me.
I think East Africa in general, Kenya, Tanzania, I really, really felt, I felt like connected, and I felt content, and I felt free, and I felt, it might sound strange to people, I felt safe.
Wow.
And even in Tanzania, people were starting to get into my head a bit when I was about to fly. You going there by yourself?
No, Tanzania is cool. Tanzania is like one of the most chilled out places. Like,
why exactly? I don't know why people were being weird about it.
Is there anything dangerous about Tanzania?
I got there and I actually stayed in quite a working class area. I didn't. I just chose somewhere. Yeah. And the people were like calling me like, "Hey sister, hey auntie." I was like, "Auntie, excuse me," but. I was just in a long dress and I had my head wrap and I was just like relaxed.
So it was just being respectful, I
couldn't be bothered to like get dressed properly. No, I was just like relaxed in my dress, and I like wearing head wraps a lot, and and people thought I was local, and I think I can blend in a bit in East Africa. Yeah, very well.
Now that I think about it, Tanzania, you might also look like a bit Tanzanian. Yeah. Ethiopia, for sure. For sure, you look Ethiopian. Yeah. And even Kenya, they'd be like, we're not sure. Yeah. But
Yeah.
because of your Somali
Yeah.
background, you also still blend in Kenya
Yeah.
like, properly.
Yeah. I just feel like, and
So definitely,
you don't
East
feel like an
Africa.
outsider. You don't get stared at. Some countries you get stared
Yeah,
at a lot. So I think most of the East African countries,
Yeah.
Senegal, I felt also quite connected as well. Brazil.
You actually can blend in Brazil as well.
Yeah, they just speak to me in Portuguese. I'm like, I tried to speak a bit of Spanish with them.
Yeah, like nah, it's not working out.
Where else? I think, in kind of Asia, Latin America, Colombia.
Colombia as well.
It's under the radar, but it's amazing. People should go there.
Yeah.
So those kind of places, some of the islands like Jamaica, I really enjoyed. Everybody was a bit worried that because I wasn't staying in those resorts, I was like just traveling through.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing. People were so nice.
You don't think it needs like you really need to be like really brave to just move around like that? Because if you think about
If
it,
you do your research,
no, even the research aside, like I think a lot of people they'd want to travel, they'd have the money, but it's like if they don't have the company, they'd be like,
that's another thing. Some people need company.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes there are times when you're on your own for like a good couple of weeks. Like when I have to do my work
I want
trips,
to be able to do that. I want to.
But you need the company. You need.
I don't need the company, but I want to be able to be in that zone of how like you just move around.
Yeah.
Because there are times that I'd have like some money aside.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, if I actually went here, I know I can actually spend this amount of money being out of the country or a different place. But I just don't want to be alone when doing it.
But what scares you about being alone?
I don't know whether I think too much or I'll just go crazy. I don't know.
There are things you can do, right? So I
can do
on
drugs.
my travel page. Don't do drugs.
No,
don't do drugs,
joking.
guys.
That's a joke. That's a joke. No, you can't do that.
So on my travel page, which is Woman Crossing Borders, by the way.
Yeah.
If I get a few DMs on like, oh, you travel solo, tell me, I really want to do it. Tell me how to do it. First of all, just book it and get on the plane. Plan it. If you're really worried, plan it as much as you can.
Yeah.
But there's only so much planning you can do because sometimes on the ground things change. Like transportation might not be the time you thought. You might have to wait an extra day. So if you're a stressed out kind of person, you need to like relax. So in the UK, everyone's like hyper. Things have to go on time. Things are not on time. People get a little bit, they, you know how Europe is a bit like, they're.
Do people find you a bit too laid back when you're in Europe? Because you're already.
I fall straight back into that.
Oh, you switch back.
You switch back into it. Yeah. Okay. So when I travel, I have to like. It takes me a couple of days to like. Okay, things are going to take a bit longer. You just relax. So you have to fall into step with whatever the pace of the country is. Number one, try and read a bit about because it's surprising how many people just go to places without reading. I'm like, learn something about it.
Just pick up on a few things before you go there so that everything is just not too shocking to you.
And it's fun. People act like it's hard work reading. It's fun learning about where you're going to go. So if you're excited about going to this place, learn a little bit, a few words of the local language, definitely if you can.
Just a few words so that you can.
Just so you can be respectful. People will open up to you more.
Yeah. And how do you just approach people and talk to them? Or?
No, I'm not that random.
But how do you do it? Because I see you taking pictures with locals everywhere you go. And
if I'm so for example in Ethiopia,
I mean maybe last time you're not doing that a lot.
Yeah.
But like I think from like just the 2 years that I've seen your Instagram post, there's just gradual interaction with a lot of people, and you seem just so happy doing it.
I do it. I don't always post it. I do it. But it's more just everyday interactions. Like if you're in a cafe or people sometimes they talk to me if I'm in a cafe or I'm somewhere or, it can be... Yeah, it can be in a store, it can be, I don't know, it can be at an event. Sometimes you might go to an event and actually look up what's going on because that might be another way of meeting people. And honestly, you meet people more when you travel solo, if you're out and about, that is.
Yeah, because if you go with your friends, you guys will just be comfortable. But that's true. Even in most situations where I go, like even to an event, and I just go alone, I come back and then I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
I have made like actually 5 good friends, a client, and you'd just be surprised by. But if you went with your friend, you'd be more like just talking to each other,
exactly.
talking to each other, and then
Exactly.
But actually, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just met somebody on the flight to Malindi actually.
Yeah.
And she started talking to me about, I chose like a tropical juice. She was like, that's the worst drink to pick. By the way, it's a bit disgusting. I was like, okay, that's all I could. I was a bit unwell
Yeah.
because of the food poisoning. So I was just like,
yeah,
you know,
and that's a good tip,
so I
especially
just,
that time.
So she was like, and then we started talking. It turns out she's a writer. She works for like this women empowerment group or something. She's written a book that was shortlisted for a prize here in Kenya. And it was like, oh, here's my card. And I was like, wow, over an orange juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it can be just be open to talking to people.
Just be open-minded.
Yeah.
Okay, from also, like, just from the 36 countries.
Stop mentioning the number.
It's crazy. I know why it seems
Stop
crazy.
mentioning it,
Because my passport has like 4 stamps.
But I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
There are people out there who have traveled to like maybe 10 places.
Yeah.
But they really work it. So, for example, they're getting paid, they're getting sponsored.
Yeah.
They're doing events.
Have you actually thought of incorporating that in? Because you move around a lot. Is it hard to like find people to partner with for
First of
something?
all, yeah, it is kind of, because I'm not really sure how to do it, but also it's the time, because I have a full-time job. Like I had to email my boss and say, what am I doing on Monday? So there's that. You're always thinking about, okay, I have to go back to that. Number one. Number two, so you have to dedicate the time. And then, yeah, I just think I have to, I don't know, maybe I need to make more connections in that kind of corporate sector.
Yeah.
You know,
but I think like with online, just based on online, I thought maybe like in UK it would be much easier.
No, not really.
If you just did your research.
Maybe. I think it just needs
so,
time.
because like you have a lot of people like just being paid for like little influencership things.
Yeah,
and
I hate that word.
and no, but I'm just saying, like for you actually go out of your way.
Yeah.
Like you go, if like, let's just say if I had like your travel ethic, and the way I'm always with my camera everywhere, I'd have a show on Netflix.
Yeah, I know.
Because I shoot everything.
I think the last time we spoke, you told me do more videos, because that's really going to be... But you know what, John? The thing is, I didn't go into
this... Thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Why?
I'm disappointed in you. Why don't you do videos on all these places?
Okay, let me tell you something. Honestly, I didn't go into this with engagement, content.
No,
I know, but let me just say, that wasn't my plan. So my plan really was, I love traveling, I love storytelling.
Yeah.
I love storytelling.
Yeah.
So even when I've done blogs, people are like, why don't you just do top 10, and I'm like, I don't enjoy those kind of posts. I enjoy.
I know.
Today I spoke to this guy.
Yeah.
In the taxi. His name is and he told me about A, B, and C. And as we drove through, we noticed this. And we noticed the difference. And I noticed this interaction.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So something kind of like broke my heart a little bit when I was in Watamu. So the place I had to change hotels for, for a particular reason. And then I ended up going to this kind of...
You can just say it if you're surprised with your booking.
No, the booking, basically there was no light and then there was no aircon, and so I was dying of...
If you don't have natural lighting anywhere in the coastal region...
It was disappointing.
It's just like, it doesn't make any sense.
So I just coughed up the extra like $60 and went to this place. It wasn't really a resort, but it was almost there, right? Mm-hmm. And so everybody, they were like Brits and Italians and stuff,
Yeah.
And the staff there, I think they needed to hire more staff because there were a lot of people who were quite demanding the way they spoke to them.
Yeah.
And I noticed something about the staff, and I looked at the staff. First of all, the people were talking to them in a way that I didn't like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, where's my coffee? And I was looking at this woman going like, are you going to die if you wait another 2 minutes? The guy's running around. Yeah. The staff were running around. I noticed these two, they were older guys.
Yeah.
And it's not like there's going to be another job for them, because the younger people, you might think, okay, forget this. I mean, this is probably what they've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
And they were so eager to please these people. And I noticed they all had their shoulders up. So they're running around with their shoulders up. Sorry, let me get this, let me get that. And there was this sense of like apologetic, I'm not going to say desperation, but like almost trying to... And
it's definitely there in the southern coast. But it's been instilled in them from like childhood.
I know.
So I mean, just once you grow up, if they just see a certain complexion, they know I have to be respectful first of all.
It was a bit like,
even if somebody is rude to you.
Yeah.
So
I understand
But
the,
you know
the
what
service
what I'm
industry.
talking about,
I know
yeah?
what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
I understand the service industry, but it was just a bit like, man, you know.
Like, no, that, that's like, it's so funny because now I had also another guest, a friend of mine. She's a travel agent.
Right,
So she had taken, but she's Kenyan.
right.
So she had taken her boyfriend on vacation, but she was paying for the vacation.
Right.
So, because it was just like one of those things like, let me just treat you this time.
Okay.
Yeah. So the whole time she was in Mombasa, all these people in the service industry thought she was a prostitute when she was paying for everything.
Really?
No, but that's the notion when they see you there.
The woman paying.
Plus, the boyfriend was white. So you see immediately.
The dynamics there
Yeah.
a little bit, yeah.
So like she was saying, like even like how the waiters were serving her, like they'd put like they'd serve the white guy like properly, and then they'd throw a cup, the saucer down
oh my goodness.
on the table, like just So I mean, but I
Yeah.
understand, but that's just like a coast thing.
Yeah.
And even like there are places in Malindi, like
Yeah.
for if they see like a person who's like black, they don't pay attention to you. Like you'd keep raising your hand, please serve me, please serve me. They won't
Yeah.
serve you.
Yeah.
They won't serve you. But that's just how they are. So I used to get upset, but once I got there, like even if it's,
Yeah.
I just try and make sure somebody doesn't spoil my day. So if I just need something, I'd
Yeah.
even go to the counter and just wait.
Yeah.
Because I mean, that's
Yeah.
just you. They're trying to be the best version of themselves. That's all they know.
Right.
Because anybody who knows better, they do differently.
I was more annoyed at the people, the way that they spoke to them. There was a lot of entitlement, but you know how it is.
But
like,
that's just how it is.
I know,
That's
but
just how it is.
I think my point is.
What can you do about that? There's nothing you can do.
I know, but there are things that irritate me, and one of the things is seeing an older person running around. You know what I mean? Like these stories have
and it's
been
not
going
a
on
kid
for a
like
long
this.
time.
Yeah, like this is an actually old person.
You know what I mean?
They'd
It's
even
just-
trip and break their leg trying to
So-
please you, and you still won't be happy.
Yeah. So my point is, I notice things like that, and I don't always post about these things, but
Yeah.
in general, I like to talk about my experience and things that I've noticed about a
Yeah.
country,
Yeah,
positive or difficult.
yeah,
And it's more about telling a story
yeah.
than top 10 Kenya. Come
No,
on.
it-
I have written
yeah.
a blog. I have written a blog about Kenya, I have to say. And the reason I have is because people are like, Norah, we're going to Kenya. Tell us about Kenya.
You'd want to know.
And then I have to write this long thing. And because I've been a few times and there's so much to see.
Yeah,
And there's so many places I still haven't seen that I really want to see.
yeah.
And so, so I was like, okay, this long DM, so okay, let me just write this blog post. And I send it to them.
It's the easiest way.
But can you believe people still say, okay, yeah, we'll read the blog, but tell me about, and I'm like, everything is in the blog.
But I'll tell you why they want
Why?
that. They want to, you see, like for a video, it would summarize like the experience. They're leaving that through you. Like you might not think it's actually very helpful, but
Yeah.
listen, like if you've been to Ethiopia, like for me, I don't like reading at all.
Reading.
Yeah, I don't
Right.
like reading.
All
Just like that. I'm sorry. I know you're a teacher, so you're like.
No,
what
it's
do you
all
mean
right.
you
No,
don't
no,
like
people
teaching?
have, you know.
Yeah, so I really don't like reading.
Okay.
But if you can give me like even a 3-hour documentary, I'd watch it.
Okay.
And I would grasp so many things. Like I'm a visual learner.
Right. Different
I'd
people,
grasp,
different
yeah,
senses.
yeah. So I'd grasp so many things from just those 3 hours that
Yeah.
you see something. And now that I'm thinking about it, if you do it like a summary on Instagram,
Yeah.
like the way that your friends are saying, like where are the top 10 places that we can just go to Nairobi.
Oh no, but
and
they weren't
boom,
asking
boom, boom,
me.
boom,
They were
boom.
just asking me to like send them DMs of like just every, another
No,
question, another
that's
answer,
just-
and it's just
no,
long. It's
no.
just long. So I just
that
said.
back and forth is always just too exhausting.
But
You
also, I wrote a super long blog. Like my blogs are excessively long. Just
Yeah.
warning out here.
if I see a big paragraph like this, I'd be like, okay, let me just talk to you on the side. I'd ask you something if I need to ask you.
Yeah.
But
it's
that's
like
just me.
it's just a detail, so you can look at it later.
Yeah.
Do you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
I know.
And so the people that actually paid attention and went, they were like, we had a really good time
Yeah, yeah.
because it was so detailed.
Because we get everything that you're talking about.
Yeah. So it's more about that. I like doing it to help people. And then kind of maybe things like engagement I noticed come on certain things, and then I started to realize, okay, these are the things that have more engagement, but I just have less interest, honestly, in like doing things for engagement and doing things than I prefer to do things because I feel it. I prefer to do things. I want to showcase this place.
And that will help you, like, just keep track on what your main agenda was anyway.
Yeah.
Because once you start chasing the numbers,
I'm not. Yeah.
it's you lose the main.
Honestly, I don't even have numbers.
It will stop being meaningful.
No, but I don't even have that high numbers, and it's not something that even enters my head.
But the people who you interact with, does it give you that satisfaction? Because that's what's important. Like just your friend asking you, like, okay, I read this article, I really love, like the way your friend was saying, like that was quite helpful.
Yeah, no, I love
gives
that.
You that. Yeah,
I love that because I know that. You know what? I like feedback on blogs more, but like, you know, comments on posts, if it's something that's actually meaningful and relevant, fine. But if it's just, oh, cool, you know, it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's okay. I don't really think about it that much afterwards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. I should do this for a living. I love this.
But you see, that's what I mean. This is amazing. Are you glad that you actually came through?
I'm glad I came through.
Imagine you're telling me like, can we choose anywhere else?
No, I was like, I didn't realize that it was a setup here. I thought you could just roam around any art cafe.
No. And even these people, like, they already know me. So even my guests, when they come, they're like, they already know the drill. They'd serve you something to drink, and then afterwards we can do like the breakfast and everything.
Cool.
Yeah. So I mean, it's just more. It's more reassuring that things are going to go as planned.
Do you live around here, by the way?
Like 10 minutes away.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's cool.
So, when it comes to just still more on traveling, I won't ask about countries anymore. I'll stop saying 36 countries.
Stop saying.
So, what are like some of the tips that you just give somebody who wants to just start traveling? Somebody who's completely new to this.
Okay.
Like, what are like just some of the major tips you'd give them? Like, try this, do this.
Yeah.
Plus, consider like, I'm guessing if you're from UK, you have UK citizenship, right?
Yeah.
I'm guessing if you have UK citizenship, you kind of like can bounce on and off a lot of countries without visa problems.
Yeah, some places you do have to check because some places a visa on arrival. So that's the number one thing is don't book a flight without checking the visa situation. Yeah, because like, you'd be surprised.
Exactly, because like for us, I know like Kenyans, we need a visa to go like every single place. And you have to
the
apply.
East African, it's so cool, the East African visa now. I did that last year, it's amazing.
Yeah. That's
was it $100? Less than $100. It was like 80 or something to go to 4 countries or something. It's amazing. So find out if there are things like that. But visa, definitely. I made the mistake sometimes of booking flights thinking it's going to be visa on arrival. I'm like, oh my god,
shock on you.
Shock on me. When I went to Ghana, I had to go to the embassy in the UK, write to the embassy, send my passport, renew my passport. It was coming up to the deadline. It was kind of stressful. So definitely check that. But I'm guessing if you want to travel, you have an itch, you have an urge to travel, you want to learn or you want to just relax or escape. But there's a reason for you wanting to travel. Yeah. So don't let fear stop you, right? Think about go with that positive feeling because it's going to be a positive experience. Do your research if you have never been to that place before, especially if it's culturally very different. Yeah. Do your research, right? Try and make it easy on yourself, but don't be afraid to interact with the locals. The local people are not scary. Yeah. Let me just reiterate, local people.
It's just a different experience.
No, it's what makes the country.
Yeah.
It's what makes the country. Each to their own. I'm still not. I find it hard to understand going to a resort and not stepping outside.
No, that I can't do.
I just can't understand that. But each to their own. I'm not going to be like a travel snob.
Yeah.
People travel in different ways, but you miss out on so much. So. Obviously keep safe and you're paying money to enjoy it, so do the things you want to do, but don't miss out on eating somewhere local, visiting somewhere local, learning something about the local country, the country you're going to. So first of all, planning if it's a new place. If you haven't traveled alone before, maybe do a bit more planning than you might do if you were in a group. Think about allowances, plan Bs if things don't go to plan. Okay, like when I was traveling to Jamaica, I wasn't sure how to get from A to B because I wasn't staying in a resort. Excuse me.
It's okay.
I wasn't staying in a resort. So
do you want a refill for that?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, sure.
And one coffee's in.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm going to be
anything else warm?
It's fine. The weather's getting
Oh,
warm
okay.
now, so
Okay. Then maybe once we're done, we can just do like the
Sure.
whole. Mm-hmm. So in Jamaica, you're talking
yeah.
about
So
Jamaica?
I didn't realize how I could get around from like this place on the east coast, the west coast to Kingston.
Yeah.
So when I got there, I said, okay, worst comes to worst, I have to take a taxi, which will cost me a bit more money. So I had to put that money aside just in case there wasn't a bus or something.
Yeah.
It turned out there was.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's harder to get information, but do as much. I mean, we have the internet now, honestly. Think
Yeah,
about in the old
it's just
times when people
Google.
couldn't. Most times you can find something and then, filter things so that within your budget range. If you're
Budget
worried,
is also very important, I guess.
super important.
Yeah.
So like I say, try and travel at times when you can get cheaper flights. But there are sometimes you can get travel alerts, so they tell you when prices go down.
Yeah.
But in general, I mean, I usually look on Skyscanner, to be honest, and I filter it by cheapest flight. Cheapest flight doesn't always mean best flight.
No. I know, but as long as it gets you where you're going,
Exactly.
because you can always save the extra cash for a lot more stuff. Just even buying
Yeah.
memorable items
Yeah. Or having an
food,
experience.
hotel.
Exactly.
I mean, it can always go to anything else.
Exactly. Don't turn up your nose at things like Airbnb, and there are even local equivalents. I know in the US they set up this organization called Noah BNB. I think I mentioned it last time I spoke to you. You remember?
Yeah.
I think it's up and
It was
running now.
about. Is it for just black people?
It's for black travelers.
How would you describe it?
It's for black travelers because I think a few people had a few difficult experiences on Airbnb.
I've seen videos.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, and even some people saying like, maybe when they were doing their booking, and then on arrival, the person didn't realize like, oh, it's a black person.
Right.
So hey,
Right.
have your money back.
Right. Or suddenly we're full, or things like that.
Yeah.
I'm.
Have you ever
quite-
experienced any of that?
No, I've been really lucky,
Yeah.
and
But you can blend in anywhere. That's the best thing about it.
not in white countries.
Really?
I mean, okay, they might treat you a little bit differently if they find out you're European, you live in Europe.
Yeah.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like in South Africa, I ended up staying with this really racist family, and I was like, I need to leave. But then I paid them for the week, and then the area was like an all-white area.
Wow.
The father was the property was not. It was on their land, but it wasn't in the same house. Thank God. And they would just say really weird stuff every day. Like, you go into the area, oh, that's where the coloured live. Coloured is a term they use in South Africa, by the way.
Wow.
In the UK, it's derogatory, but in South Africa, it's a term to describe.
Yeah,
certain
but I'm
people.
guessing like they were not even noticing like when you say that like you're actually colored as well.
No, they were like, you go into this area, oh, watch out, they're just full of drug dealers and da-da-da-da.
Oh, okay.
And like, our local blacks, they're all a bit this and a bit that. And I was like, can you like stop saying that? I was just like, are you
Yeah.
And the lady was like, I'm so sorry, it was just bizarre. Like every day their dogs would try and kill me when I came home. It was a long story. And then my friends who lived in the centre were like,
Yeah. They were like, what?
they were like, do you just want to leave? And I said, you know what? No, I'm going to stay. I paid. This neighborhood, I'm like the only person of color
Yeah.
walking around the neighborhood. So I would get stared at a little bit. And I walk into this cafe,
Yeah.
and the ladies in the kitchen were all black. They were wearing like their uniform. They had their head wraps. I was wearing my head wrap that entire week. So they were looking at me.
They have to have that uniform though, you know that.
I think so. But the point is, I had my head wrap. So they're looking at me and looking at each other like, what's she doing here? Like, is she going to come in and sit down? Is she going to come into do you know, they were like,
Oh.
no, because nobody in that,
Yeah.
there was like
in that
literally
area,
all
it's
white.
yeah.
And it was bizarre. I felt like I was back in US 1950s or
Yeah.
something,
But I'm sure it's crazy because when you get in such a situation, you're like, I'm just traveling to all these different places, and then it's still confusing, but there's still people who live like this, and they just
It's like going
this
back
is
in
their
time.
this is their way of living.
I mean, I know like, not everyone like that is like that in South Africa,
Of
but they still
course.
have a long way to go. That
Yeah.
was my particular experience.
Yeah.
And I ended up just sticking it out because I had paid them. B, I said, I think I have just as much right to be walking on this land than these people. I don't care about the area.
Yeah.
I'm just going to I have just as much right. And so, and then I went in, I went into the kitchen on the final day and had a little photo shoot with the ladies.
Wow.
Because they wouldn't let them come to the table. They would take the plates from them. Do you know what I mean? So you couldn't even like tip them. you couldn't even have that chat. And I was like, these people make amazing food every day. Every morning I have amazing breakfast, and I want to be able to interact with them, and I can't. So I just walked in, and the
I'm
manager
sure they
was
were
like,
happy. Like,
the manager was like, "Where are you going,
shocked.
Where are you going, madam?" And I
The
said, "I'm
manager was
just going
shocked.
in for a second." And they were really happy. Yeah, we just chatted.
Yeah.
I thanked them for all the food they made. We took great pictures together.
That's amazing. Amazing.
But yeah, that was a bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was a bit.
I know.
It's difficult sometimes. It's
Yeah.
an amazing country in many ways, but there are things that can make your blood boil a little.
Yeah, it'd be like, I mean, I don't believe, because, you can't to start thinking like, yo, these are my people. They were so, and there's nothing you can do to change that situation, because
no.
you're still gonna leave them there,
Yeah.
and they're still gonna,
Yeah.
and the little money maybe that they're getting, they still need it to
Yeah.
survive or just do whatever they have to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it tells you a lot about the world. Travel tells you a lot about the world, and
it makes you more grounded and humble?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if you're traveling in resorts, maybe. No.
I know, yeah. Oh, no, yeah.
I'm like,
Not true, but that makes sense, because
Yeah,
even
yeah.
like just from how you move around, I'm sure by the time you go back to the UK, like you just see
yeah.
a lot of other things that somebody would be complaining and whining about, and then
Yeah.
you're like, yo, you guys, you don't really understand
Yeah.
how other people would appreciate to have just these little things that you guys have. Like maybe if it's medical cover and stuff, just some of the little things that people just have.
Just little things like we get on the train every day in the UK, rush hour, it's packed, there's like sardines, and we're like, oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah.
We like,
But it takes you like 5-10 minutes to get to where you're going.
takes me about 15-20 minutes.
Yeah. And here, just to get to
But
the
my
city.
boss thinks it's 45 minutes. I'm just going to let them think that.
Yeah.
They're not going to see this, hopefully.
Yeah, and you see, like, even just for transportation in
I'm
countries.
just joking. I'm just joking. But my point is, when I'm in a taxi and I'm sitting in an Uber in like Nairobi, and I'm looking and I'm seeing people. The other day I was going to the airport, walking all the way from the airport for a good hour, 2 hours maybe.
Yeah, people do that
to get to work. You know what I mean? And then we're complaining about standing in a train.
Makes no sense, yeah.
So
To people who are walking, it wouldn't make any sense. But you see, then again, if somebody hasn't been in this environment to actually see that this is how people live, they'd be like, no way, that's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's interesting. So we've touched a bit on like quite a lot.
Yeah.
Just like last time.
But can I say something though?
Yeah.
I think
we haven't finished yet.
There's a narrative that people have on poor this, poor that. You go and you learn, oh, look at these poor things. So at the Airbnb I'm staying at, this guy joined for one evening and then he's leaving.
Yeah.
He's from the US.
Yeah.
A white guy from the US.
Yeah.
He's a documentary maker, apparently.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
I hope he doesn't see this. I hope he doesn't see this. Anyway,
Okay.
I didn't tell him my name. I didn't tell him my name.
Okay, yeah.
But me and the landlady were just talking, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm leaving in the morning." And then he said, "Yeah, I'm shooting a documentary about Kibera." And then my landlady kind of rolled her eyes.
Because they all come and do that.
It's just like poverty porn, you know what I mean? It's just like,
all come and do that.
Look where we are in Nairobi. Look where we are. And I try and show like everything that I get. I went to Kibera once, but only because I met a local and we walked around, and I didn't even take pictures. I took one picture, I think, when I bought some jewelry or something. And it was an amazing experience, but I wasn't going around, let me take pictures of these shacks here. Let me take pictures of these kids sitting around. Like,
the biggest slum in East Africa.
Do you know what I mean? It's like this whole excitement. I went a bit edgy. I went to Kibera. Like, seriously? So we kind of looked at each other like, really? And then
I'm sure
he said,
just like, oh.
No, he said, oh, you want to know how I get this connect? And we were like, okay, tell us. He said, I saw a guy wearing a jacket, and I said, really cool. Where'd you get that jacket from? And then the guy was like, I know this guy in Kibera. He's amazing. He makes jackets. Like, like that's a big thing to make a jacket. You know? And then he said, let me connect you with him. And I went, and I'm going to film some content of him making this jacket, and then we're going to film some content about Kibera, and then I don't know what else we're going to do. We're going to talk about the place. And then I said, okay, where else have you been in Nairobi? He was like, I've been here for a month. Not much.
A whole month.
Yeah, and he hasn't really done much. I'm like, okay, fine.
There's so many other things to explore, because we already have like NGOs that are taking care of that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean like the only pictures that should come from
it's just ridiculous.
From the country.
And then
there's so many people who just repeatedly, like now that you've mentioned it, like they're always shooting documentaries about that. But there's so many other things that are going on.
Yeah.
And
it's such an exciting country. This is like the Silicon Valley of East Africa, number one, right? Number two, there's so many young creatives like yourself, like all these other people that I've met. Really, they're amazing, and they're putting work out there that will put some of the big publications to shame in the West. I'm not just saying that because I know some of these people. I'm talking truth.
It's the truth.
People are this country churns out graduates. Like there are a lot. Unfortunately, job opportunities are not as plentiful as they should be. Yeah. But you've got the nature. There's so much about here. This is like modern. Look, hello. And when I come here, your money goes further.
Cappuccino, we have a nice tea. Yeah.
And then when I come here, I feel like obviously my money goes a bit further, but I am able to enjoy things that I don't normally do in the UK. Right? Yeah. So I'm not out here in nice cafes and restaurants every day in the UK. No, otherwise I would not make it to payday.
Yeah, it would be. I'm sure it's crazy because I just know I've had like fine dining and just going to restaurants. It's crazy expensive.
Right. But I just feel like it's, I don't know, like in these countries that people think third world poor, a lot of people are able to, within their means, socialize more. Eat out more, do things together more than in the UK. If you're eating out 3 times a week, you need to be on big budget because you need to be earning those coins from a big.
You need to be rich. Let's start with that.
So I think this narrative. So that it kind of irritated me, and it turned out he was a public defender. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then he had some very problematic views on America's view of the world, like Syria, Lebanon, where is he? Syria, Libya, Iraq. He was like, better we be there. Better we be the world police than Russia or China, huh? And I was like,
wow.
Why? I was like, really? Why would you say I'd rather us be there? And then when I mentioned that Libya, which used to be an oil-rich country, people used to flock there for work. The standard of living was super high. Iraq used to be a center of learning. In the Middle East. Syria has some of the oldest civilizations in the Middle East. They had Roman ruins which are better than in Rome. When I told him all these things and I said these countries are all in tatters now because of like US involvement. Unnecessary US involvement. He was like, well, in the global geopolitical scheme of things, I think people, you might not like this, but it's kind of like collateral damage.
Wow.
At that point, you kind of want to like punch them in the face, but you can't do that.
But the thing is like even from just past experience, it's just a cultural thing. Like Americans express themselves completely differently.
That's because they're brainwashed from their TV.
But they just whatever comes to your mind, you just say it. You don't maybe take time and just. So maybe
they say it with a smile.
And that's just his opinion, though. You see, he's not like insulting you because first of all, if he's just smiling, he doesn't see it like he's saying anything bad to you. He's just
I'm not saying the whole country's like that because I know a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, unfortunately, think
like that. People are different. That's just him. You can't put everybody in one basket.
No. But I think I could say at least half the country think like that. In my experience.
Oh yeah, true.
Not that I've met half the country.
But we've seen a lot of YouTube videos when people just ask questions around the street and they almost would answer the same way that you're describing.
But my point is, the reason he said that is black and brown people, collateral damage. You wouldn't be saying that if it was the US. One person gets hit in the US, oh my God, the world is giving them condolences.
Yeah.
So the fact that you are here in Kenya, that all you've done is gone to Kibera and you just want to get more footage on Kibera, and that your global view, as I've just explained to you, because of these things, I'm like, what, do you know, like, why are you here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So I'm tired of people coming, and this guy is probably earning a lot more than I do, and he has more resources and everything. And
there's so much he can come and actually just explore and still get interesting footage, first of all.
Yeah.
Because I did a documentary with some Saudi client of mine who just flew in Kenya last year, and we just bumped into each other in Yaya because I had my tripod thing. I had just come from.
So you come to my local area.
Yeah, I do. So it's
it has become my local area now.
Yeah. It's so interesting because you know why? Because he told me he's shooting a documentary, and in my head I was like, okay, here we go again. somebody's just gonna take me to some slums,
Yeah.
gonna shoot it, and I wouldn't say no because I need the money. Definitely,
Right.
it's a documentary. It's gonna
Right.
give me some extra cash and stuff. So he told me like, I'm in Kenya. I'm a runner, and I want to shoot a documentary about runners. So I want to go and interact with the runners and see how they actually eat, they train, and just win the Olympics and all these other world
That's
marathons.
amazing.
I was just like, when are we shooting?
Yes.
When are we shooting? I was so excited, and even for me to just go and get involved in the project,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, like we don't even pay attention to like our athletes. Like people just wake up and run like
Yeah.
just for fun.
Yeah.
Like people and families, friends, they
Yeah.
wake up, they go to your neighbor, you knock their door,
Yeah.
wake up and you run.
Yeah.
Like just as friends.
You know what? No wonder the best runners come from this region, because if
Yeah.
you can train
From there,
in this area of East Africa,
yeah.
you can win. You can just smash it in Europe. And they have those meets in Europe and the US. You can just smash it
Because
because
it's the same thing. People actually fly from Europe now to come and train either in Ethiopia or the same place where we went. And it's just mind blowing because
amazing.
we were meeting like a lot of people. Was like, this is so and so. She won the New York marathons. This is so and so. And then I'm like, what? All these great people. And then the funniest thing, I was like, bro, I've never had anybody shooting a documentary on our runners.
Amazing.
I was just like, this
These
is
are
insane.
These are national treasures.
And I'm thinking, I'm like, even for me, I just feel ashamed. Like, why didn't I think of this?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
But I'm getting credits and stuff.
Cool.
And I hope hopefully we get to Netflix. Hopefully they
That would
get
be
to Netflix,
amazing.
because he's going to like different countries doing different marathons and stuff. So
Right.
he's just different, hoping from one country to another, So I think his target is going. I think that's the end goal, and I hope I get there. So if I'm there, I hope I see my name somewhere on Netflix. Just
Cool.
pop
That
up.
would be
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, I can relate to you just to what you were saying, like that story of shooting, just the same old documentaries, the
Yeah.
slum, the slum, the slum.
Yeah.
There's nothing bad with highlighting that, but we have so much more that we can showcase
Yeah.
and actually make people want to come to the country.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because when I first came and I remember posting pictures, people were like, is that Kenya?
Yeah.
It's like, really? Those beaches, are they Kenya? And it's amazing how, especially the beaches, they know the safari.
Yeah.
And
The beach is amazing. It's
but
too
they do
beautiful.
not know the beaches. And I'm like,
That's crazy.
you, man, are going to,
Yeah.
like,
Is this the wild beast
Mauritius.
migration? Oh,
What
yeah,
is
yeah.
it? You're going to Mauritius,
Yeah.
you're going to all these other little islands, and you don't know this is the same ocean, right? This is the Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
And you guys are spending
Way
thousands
way too much.
to go to these like honeymoon spots.
Yeah.
And you don't know, you could just take like a, $100 return flight, even
Yeah.
less maybe,
Yeah.
from Nairobi, and you're on the same ocean.
Yeah. Imagine,
know what I mean?
I've been to Zanzibar.
Yeah, it's just the best
How's
beaches.
Zanzibar?
It's-
Amazing.
When I went to Tanzania, I went to
Oh,
Zanzibar.
yeah, yeah, of
So I
course.
went to Dar,
Beautiful.
and then I
Yeah.
went to a few of the towns that were like, because it was like one of the East African slave trading centers.
Yeah.
A place called Bagamoyo. The funny thing about that is I was spending three days or 4 days in Dar es Salaam, and then about 5 days on the beach, or 4 days on the beach.
Yeah.
In Zanzibar, and it's a ferry. It's like less than an hour to
Yeah.
cross, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, and then I was looking places to go outside Dar, and people were like, "Go to this island, go to this island. It's amazing, crystal." And I looked it up; it looked amazing.
Yeah.
Or I could go to Bagamoyo and look at the history,
Of
because people don't know about as
Is
much.
that where the prison island thing is?
No, but this place it used to be this. It was this epicenter of the East African slave trade. So the place that people, like you have in Ghana,
Yeah.
Cape Coast, and you have Senegal, the Door of Norah, and those castles. This place was where people would travel from Congo, from
The master
other
slaves
parts.
would come and
The East African slave trade was more like the Omanis and the Arabs.
Yeah,
and
I think I
it
know
was
what
just
you're
as
talking
It was just as horrific, but we
Yeah.
don't hear about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't we hear about it? I know a little bit about it, and when I realized the numbers, I was shocked, and I was ashamed that I didn't know the number. I knew that it was bad, but I didn't know how bad it was.
Yeah.
And from that place, people would just drop dead and they would just leave them and just carry on. It was just as bad as the East African.
Yeah.
And I went there before I went to Ghana, so I learned more about this before I really learned, was on the ground in West Africa to see all those famous castles and things.
Yeah.
And it was just. So I had a choice of going to this beach town where everybody
Amazing,
goes.
Yeah.
Going, and I said, look, I'm going to Zanzibar, the best beaches in the world.
Yeah.
I need to go to this place and learn about the history.
You have to. I mean, it's the least you can do.
And it's amazing. I just hopped in. When I got there, I took a tuk-tuk, and it takes you to the local museum. And then one of the guys, he was a local student. He's also a volunteer guide. He took me around.
Mm-hmm.
And he spent half the day with me just talking about, and you learn
Showing
so
you,
much from this 19-year-old guy.
Yeah.
He's like an encyclopedia. And I was like, wow, and they're not even paid. You just give them a donation, I think you
just
should.
tip him,
it's
the least you can do.
And I learned so much. So it's just like, go off the beaten track sometimes. It's not everyday beach. And I knew I was going to go to the beaches in Zanzibar, and they are incredible. They are incredible.
Yeah, I was like, once I just got there, I was like, wow. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. I've never been here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm planning to go to all these Asian countries and stuff. I'm like, I need to start with just, my neighborhood.
Just to let you know, they're not going to compare.
Yeah, no, true.
They're not going to compare.
True?
They're not going to compare. I went to Bali a year and a half ago.
You're telling me ours is better?
The beaches in Bali are I'm not going to say trash, but the beaches in Bali are
they can't be compared to ours?
Not in the same
really
stratosphere.
Wow.
Not in the same stratosphere. So the green in Bali and the lush mountains, amazing.
Amazing.
But the beaches in the south is
you
like
can't.
there's nothing there. I was like, is this it? Okay. So I think
and
you get
at
spoiled.
least for you
get spoiled because once you've seen these beaches in East Africa,
yes, that's what I'm talking about.
No other place in the world. Maybe Caribbean is a cllose second, but other than that,
we have it like
Mediterranean is like
and even
dirty water.
And even budget-wise, it must be like the best place to actually come.
It's amazing. I keep telling people, just go for off-season, find a flight. The UK is quite a good hub to travel from.
Yeah.
If you can, come to East Africa and see. It's just,
You have the best, almost everything. You'll see the animals, the big five.
Yeah.
Beaches.
Yeah.
You can choose, like you say, you can go to the mountain area if you want. We have Mount Kenya, you have Mount Kilimanjaro.
Also, you have lively cities.
Yeah, and
people
the cities are full of life.
Nairobi, there's so much to do.
Where would you say, you had maybe the best food? Apart from the Lebanese restaurant that you...
Man, thank you so much.
Where would you say, they really are... They take their food seriously.
Which country are you talking about?
Yeah.
Okay, so actually, having said that about Lebanon, I love Lebanese food. And in Lebanon, the food... I was there last October. The food is amazing. And it's one of my... I forgot to say about one of my countries that impacted. Lebanon is one of them.
Wow. You see, that's why I kept on asking that question.
Yeah, sorry. You need to hit me with a hammer. But it's like... It's tiny, but you have beaches. You can go skiing. My first time skiing. My only time skiing
Lebanon?
was in Lebanon.
They have winter.
You need to Google it, yeah.
I see, I didn't know that.
Please Google, it's amazing.
I didn't know that.
Or just follow the IG pages.
I don't even want to say from the TV series that I was watching. That's just inappropriate if I mention it.
What is it?
It was like some terrorist thing.
Yeah, but who made it?
Man, it's an American thing.
Okay, the end of conversation.
But I'm just saying, because I have, you see, there's those countries that, they are always on mainstream media.
Right.
So the other ones that you don't see them on a regular, you'll just pick up on what you see online, or maybe if it's a TV series. And for us, for Kenyans, I think a lot of people pick up also on what's happening in different countries from just watching TV, most probably.
Yeah.
YouTubers and stuff. And even at least now, YouTubers give you something different.
Right.
But if you're watching TV series and movies, I guess that's the only thing that you get.
That's true. I think TV, maybe exception of Netflix, is kind of online, is a bit dead now. The fact that you have people get their news from Twitter these days, right? Even when things happen on the ground, you go to Twitter.
Plus, you want live feeds.
You don't
want something that's chopped up and edited.
Exactly. And then because of thanks to social media now, people don't depend on those big
We don't.
organizations.
Not at all.
And so you can see a lot more, you can learn a lot more. And, people talk about the negative side of social media. The positive side is you get to see stuff on the ground for real.
Yeah.
You get to see that we are all more similar than we are
We're
different.
just the same people.
We're all out here having coffee, going shopping, I don't know, doing our laundry, going to the city, whatever. Everyone does what they have to do. So and for me it's been about connections as well, because sometimes you talk about traveling solo, but I think the last year or so I've been utilizing Instagram a bit more when it comes to people I know. Has anyone been to? So I asked a couple of people, anyone been to Ethiopia? And then there was a brother in the US. He's like a producer, kind of. It's quite well known, so I'm not going to say his name. But he connected me with somebody in Ethiopia who was really helpful as well. Another person on Instagram that I actually haven't met.
But I can just imagine your network, how wide your network is.
No. But somebody said to me, I was in dinner in London a few months ago. She said, "You travel, but you always know people, you meet people." I said, "I don't know people. When I go to those countries, some of these countries, I don't know anybody."
No, but I'm just saying, from all those experiences, you definitely have like numbers, Instagram or something from.
No, not really.
No,
people are. It's quite casual sometimes. So sometimes people will connect me with somebody and you go there, and sometimes you keep in contact, and sometimes it's just they give you advice. Sometimes you don't even meet, but they give you some really useful advice.
They tell you
sometimes because you can't always take people's time away from them if they're working, especially. I'm very aware, and sometimes people have time to meet up for dinner or for a coffee even. That's really cool. It's nice to have a local perspective.
It is,
and walking with a local gives you that confidence, and then
it's reassuring that everywhere you go, if it's food, if you try this is good. If you try this is good.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
So that's also helped me a little. I try to use that a little bit more. Like, don't be afraid to reach out. Sometimes maybe just use your story. Anyone in this country, or sometimes if I follow certain people and I see, these guys shoot in Addis a lot, and I message like 4 or 5 people. 2 of them got back to me, or 3 of them I think got back to me. And it was really helpful, So before I never used to do that. I think it's the past year maybe I've been doing that a bit more. So, and that can change your experience.
Definitely.
Change your experience. Yeah.
I'm sure. I'm quite sure about it. So we've touched, and we can go on and on and on and on. Do you want to do another hour? No, I'm playing.
I would love to do another
hour. I'm playing.
Hour.
I know.
I'd love to.
I want you to go.
But it's my last day. I got
it's
things
your last
to
day.
do.
Yeah, you have to go. You have some famous shit to do anyway.
Some what?
Famous shit to do.
Oh, I thought you said female. I said
famous. No. I said
that.
famous shit to do.
Why famous? What makes you say famous?
Because you're this world traveler right now.
Oh man.
So okay, I wanted to get to another segment, but I guess we have to save that for another day. So that we can at least just enjoy some breakfast.
Just got my mint in my mouth, sorry.
So that we can just enjoy breakfast and stuff.
You can ask me one last question if you want to.
I can?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the one thing you think that if you achieve, that's going to make you happy? Because some people look at like marriage, children, a husband. Yeah, I mean, what's like the one thing you think you're chasing like right now in life, that if I get this, it's going to feel like a really big gap in my life, and it might make me like just like feel more content. Because I guess if it's career, if you haven't started like a family, we're still always like seeking something that will give us like that, like solid foundation of what we've been just chasing all along. What do you think would give you that satisfaction?
I think nobody has everything they want, no matter how successful somebody is. You see people out there. And although I travel a lot, there's still a bit of contentment that is missing.
Are you dating?
I have. I have. But my point is,
we'll save that for another segment, but you can just say...
I do want a family.
Yeah.
That's something that I would like to do.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I'm chasing anything, because I think chasing makes me stressed, and worry makes me stressed. I'm a Muslim.
Yeah.
And I believe in God, and I believe things come at a certain time. I think you still have to put in work. You don't just
Yeah.
sit there and go,
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
pray. You know,
Mhm.
but you have to. I have a certain faith. I feel things that are for you will come to you,
Yeah.
and you can't chase things that are not for you.
Yeah.
It just brings you stress, and unless it's stress in your life.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely.
for me, I'm content when my family is content. I'm content when my family is happy.
Yeah.
I had a bereavement in my family. My brother passed away like about a year ago.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, that was really difficult.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It happens.
Are you close?
Yeah, very close.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you what, like, you know, my I have a special needs brother.
Yeah.
He doesn't talk,
Okay.
and last week he was missing.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So there was just this crazy scare that we had, and it's through social media, the one place that I spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like, we did these crazy flyers, retweets, and everybody tweeting in and out and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
And actually, Facebook came through.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, I'm just saying that I know it can just adjusting to those kinds of situations can be
Yeah.
like really
Yeah.
confusing, and also still just regardless of what you
Yeah.
have, your achievements and stuff, family
Yeah.
is so important that
It's so important.
if it's just taken away from you,
yeah.
and then you start realizing like, oh, I really need to start paying more attention to.
Yeah, I think when you get older as well, you realize your parents are getting older,
They are.
and you notice like health things, and you realize well, they're not
Yo.
going to be here forever.
Yeah.
And these things worry me more. It's like mortality,
Listen,
and actually,
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Just because you mentioned that, and I don't want to forget it. Like, every time my mom calls me or
Yeah.
my sister calls me, I'm not even happy when they call me, because I'm like, is something wrong?
Yeah.
That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
Is something wrong? Is something wrong? And for the first time, when my sister called me, told me like, your brother is missing.
Yeah.
So I'm like every time I'm like, the first thing I ask them like, hey, is everything okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's always.
I say
like,
that as well.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
everything okay?
Is
Are
everything
you okay?
Okay,
Yeah.
now let's talk. Let's
Okay.
talk. Yeah. So I mean, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry to hear about your brother. I'm glad that he's
He's
safe.
Cool. He's good
okay.
now. He's good.
Yeah.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, you know, you want, especially my mother, because she didn't have an easy, she had a nice privileged upbringing, and then when she came to the UK,
Yeah.
they had a divorce and everything, so it was a bit
Things were a bit
tough for her.
different,
She was
yeah.
3 children. It's not her first language.
Yeah.
She's hard of hearing in one ear, so there's all these challenges, but she's like such a superwoman. I think everybody feels that about their mother, but really
Yeah.
she's coped with a lot.
And when you're young, you don't even realize
you don't
that.
realize.
You don't
You
even
think
pay
it's
attention.
normal.
Like, it's mom. She's
Yeah,
taking
yeah,
care
yeah.
of me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
once
yeah.
you get older, you're like, oh
Oh
my
my God.
She was taking care of all of us.
Honestly, I think
without complaining.
I can't even understand. Like, I wouldn't be able to do. I said, I don't
It's-
think I could
it's
do
insane.
that. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I could do that. Like, you're
Yeah.
so much stronger than me.
Yeah.
Even now, she cooks like this marathon food. I'm like, after 1 hour cooking, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's my limit.
Yeah,
Thank you
like,
very much.
I mean, that's okay.
Where's Jamie Oliver's 30-minute meals? That's what I need in my life. But you know what I mean? She
Yeah.
does all these things, and she, it's just normal for her. But I think when you see them, you kind of want them to be happy. You want to do things for them.
Yeah.
Like when I used to go traveling with her, it was so nice to be able to give back a little bit. And she paid for her own, I paid for. But sometimes to be able to treat them and stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's so nice. It's such a privilege. So when they're older and their health is a bit like, it's like, so I have to FaceTime or call every day to make sure everything's okay. And I get what you're like, is everything okay? I get because you're always checking.
Yeah.
And so when we lost our brother, it was a very long process, because he had autoimmune disease since he was very young,
Mm-hmm.
and then it affected him. He was fine, like mentally he was fine, but physically a lot of things that he couldn't do, like sports and whatever.
Okay.
And then he affected his kidneys and things like that. And so eventually the last 4 or 5 years it's been,
Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why I started to book trips last minute, because I was like, I need to make sure if I'm going to be needed here,
I can.
or if I have to cancel. And I don't book expensive.
Oh yeah, you don't.
Trips. I book like non-refundable last minute budget trips.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to literally like in a few days, and then I book. So people were always like, we didn't know you were going to Uganda, and it's like, because I booked it last minute.
Yeah, because
it was in my head.
Now this is the time that I think I can actually just
But
rush there.
It's safe to travel.
Yeah.
It's literally, it was like, it's safe to travel for me.
Yeah.
So although people see these like, pictures. I'm not even going to say curated because I don't really curate pictures, but you know, of me traveling and everything. Usually at the back of my mind, it's like, okay, is everything okay?
You
I
have
hope
to.
he's okay.
You have to.
Let me check
That's the
in.
worst thing about being a grown-up. And even at times, you know, I have this wide demography reach, and even like extremely like even young people.
Yeah.
And at times when somebody complains to me like, you know, my mom doesn't want to do this for me, I'm like, yo, bro, listen. Like, by the way, I can't, just shut up, by the way. Like, I'm always constantly telling people, like, never complain, never complain about your mom or your dad, because I would never, that's just a no.
No.
Because once you start growing older,
Yeah.
you'll be like, oh my God, this person never complained even one day in their life, and they're providing for me, they're taking care of me, asking if everything is okay, and you're just complaining.
Yeah.
So anybody, like, once you start growing older, you start looking at things way differently.
Exactly.
And it just changes the way you look at things. Like the way you've mentioned, like, you know, if you just think about it, you know, like, we won't be here forever.
Yeah.
And if we won't be here forever, you know, like, your mom or your dad, they won't be here forever.
Yeah.
You have to face it in your mind, like, there's a day that's going to come that you have to say goodbye to them.
Yeah.
So that's just always like, but if that can sink in your mind, I guess you're still not yet an adult. Because if it comes in your head, like you just look at things differently.
I think in terms of you can know it.
I wish
but
I
to
could live
accept
forever.
It. But you know what I mean? Like to know it, it's more about accepting. And I think even me,
nobody ever
you know that day will come, but I don't want to think about it. I don't want to accept it. Although as an adult, you know it's a part of life.
Yeah.
And like losing my brother we knew that it was coming. I think in the last but it's still a shock.
Yeah.
And because he was such the light of the family, if I can say that.
Because this is still your brother.
This is a void, you know. And when people ask me, I still say I have two brothers.
Because even in your head, it's still, in your head it can be, in your head that's still your bro.
So it's like, for me, to answer your question, it's like if my family's happy, then I'm happy. If they're safe, if they're, you know, even I like seeing them just laughing and enjoying things. And if they're stressed, I start to you just think. And sometimes you can't. There's things that happen, like health things, whatever, that you are not in control of. But all you can do is do your best.
Yeah.
Because it's out of your hands. You know what I mean? Like, but
there's
you wish there was
do.
Things that in your hands that you could change, but you can't always change them.
Yeah.
So for me, number one is when they're happy. Yeah. I would like to have my own family. I think one of the things that I the other day I was thinking, I was like, you know, you never know if you're gonna have children. You never know. Like, God blesses whoever wants to bless.
Yeah.
And it's just that worry of because I know I try to look after my mother. Like, imagine just being that old person and you don't have anyone to look after you. Not that children should be there to look after you only.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think in a lot of African, Middle Eastern societies, there is that
structure,
community structure, right?
Because once you start slowing down, I think you always want to see your kids coming to visit you. Because if they're not there to visit you, I mean, just gonna
Did
be.
you even raise them right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, just joking.
No, but I'm just saying. I think if you get older, you'd want to see them coming to visit you and just. Of course. I mean, so you'd want them to be there. I guess.
Of course. And it's just a circle of life, isn't it? I mean, it's like we say, it's a fact of life. But so that would be something cool, and also just to leave a legacy. Like, you have this mini person walking around.
I guess that's.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think this, and also just whatever you've learned, to give them whatever you've learned, to give them, you know. But in terms of I think career, I don't know. I think the older you get, you realize it's not that deep.
It's not even about chasing money.
It's not that deep. Like, you can. I think if you're so lucky if you're doing something that you're passionate about.
Yes.
You're so lucky.
Yes.
If you're your blessings, in Arabic they say rizq. Your you know. What you're getting, your reward is coming from something that you enjoy. You're not just churning the day away, because you spend most of your day at work, right?
Corporate can get crazy,
You know, so if you're lucky enough to do that, maybe you're not paid the same as somebody in corporate, but you have job satisfaction. You know what I mean? Or you're doing something where you're able to give to the community or give back a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And I was also interviewing like two best friends yesterday, and they're like these artists, they're painters, and they were talking about how they want to paint for the rest of their lives and
Yeah.
stuff. And you know, I was like, even at this point, even it's not even about the money, it just makes us happy.
yeah.
Then I'm like, oh my God,
Mm.
that's a really good feeling to have,
It's great.
because it's going to drive you in
Yeah.
the right direction. Because
Exactly.
if you're out just chasing money,
Mm.
money, I mean, you can get all the money in the world, but it doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah,
Because you'd still need things like family, love.
yeah,
Because even who are you going to spend that money with?
yeah,
Plus, if you're stinking rich, like, don't you have everything
yeah,
that you want?
yeah,
Life won't have any meaning.
yeah.
Because why do you wake up in the morning?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we say this, but you know, it helps you a lot in life.
It helps.
It helps you a lot
yeah,
in
yeah.
life, but it shouldn't be your goal.
Yeah, it shouldn't just
It should not be your goal.
Yeah.
Okay, if I can get something where I'm paid more, great. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
But if that's your be all and end all, it's a bit sad. Like,
It's
you
yeah.
know, it's
Because
just
like even for the podcast, that's why I'm always like, I'm just saying it's all about the 4 pillars of life. Just finding a balance.
yeah,
Yes, money's coming in.
yeah,
Yes, you have people who love and care for you.
yeah,
Are you taking care of your health?
yeah,
And you have like just your mental well-being,
Yeah.
happiness,
yeah,
just balancing them all out. Because
Yeah.
you can have like proper. Like we have Steve Jobs
yeah,
made Apple.
yeah.
But you see, once his health deteriorated, with all the money that he has,
Yeah,
there's nothing he could do.
exactly.
There's nothing he could do.
I know. And I
See?
think coming from a perspective of somebody who believes, it's like, it humbles you because like you're not in control. Doesn't matter how much money you have,
Yeah,
you're not in control. If you don't have your health,
yeah.
so you know,
And even happiness, you see like people like Robin Williams, you see people committing suicide and stuff. People
Yeah.
who have money, and then you're like, what?
Yeah.
Kill himself, and he has all these achievements, he
Yeah.
has Grammys, he has won this, he's done this. But no, you have to like figure out like a
Yeah.
balance. It's not just about one thing.
Yeah,
Because to you it might seem like this is the ultimate achievement,
yeah,
but what about the rest of the balance?
yeah. And you never know. Also, we judge a lot, don't we? We assume a lot. You never know what's going on in people's lives.
You can never know.
Just
You
because
can
someone
never
has money doesn't mean they're happy.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
can have just as many struggles as average, or even more.
know. Yeah, yeah.
You know, so and things like success and spotlight, it's quite scary. Imagine, like, you know, being in places where everyone knows who you are. You can't put a foot wrong. You have to be this moral, like you have to be this
Yeah.
role model the entire time. That's quite a lot.
Because now if you think about it, when you're in that pedestal, like now all these 4 things that we're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
they're being analyzed by everyone. Your health, your wealth, your happiness,
Yeah.
your love life.
Yeah,
It's crazy. So I mean, there's even pressure is 10 times more
Yeah.
than how you just be like on your own when you're doing your whole
exactly.
like soul searching and everything.
I think if you're true to yourself and authentic in what you do,
Yeah.
and whatever you try and do, you do it to the best of your abilities, I think, and obviously you're blessed with health, then I think
For sure.
you generally, hopefully you should do well, all things considered, but obviously it depends on the context that you're in. But, you know, like I said, if you're happy doing what you want to do, career-wise I'm talking about, and if you enjoy what you want to do, it's such a blessing, because like 70% of people are doing things
True.
just for the money.
True. Yeah, so that's it, guys.
what's-
Like, I mean, we've had like a really amazing session, and
Yeah.
I hope we can just, you know, reunite again, like after a year, when you just come back to Kenya and just
Inshallah.
inshallah, and just do another podcast session, sit down and talk about like more questions that I had for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you were just to leave a message out there for the podcast to the people who are watching, people who are listening,
Yeah.
in terms of maybe traveling and just figuring yourself out,
Yeah.
what would your message be?
If you have the opportunity to travel, take it. It doesn't have to be another country. It can be somewhere on your doorstep.
Yeah.
But it's so therapeutic. You learn a lot about yourself. You build character. You know, there's been situations where I've been like, oh, how am I going to do this? So you learn to be resourceful. It's a form of really self-care, I think, actually. And learning. Not everything you learn is in school. they don't tell you a lot in school, right? You get to see a lot with your own eyes.
Yeah.
A lot of kids who are lucky enough to travel with their parents, it's like it's another education. It's like a real world education. And yeah, I would say if you have an opportunity to do that, even if it's just going to, another city or just out of town, stuff like that, then definitely take it. Also, international travel, not that I'm a traveller by trade.
Yeah.
You make it sound like I am, but I do it a lot and I enjoy it. But I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be super expensive. It doesn't have to be. I know some people like their expensive resorts and everything, but you don't need to be. You can still have a great time and make it accessible and budget friendly, and that way you can travel for longer actually than 3 days in an expensive place. That can be possibly a week and a half, 2 weeks on a lower budget. But yeah, I'm glad for the opportunity on this podcast because I know you talk to an array of different people.
Yeah.
And me not being Kenyan, maybe I'm an honorary Kenyan.
Hey,
Can I be an
come
honor?
on.
Can I be
You're
an
my
honor?
peeps. You're my peeps.
Can I be an honorary Kenyan?
Yes, you can be.
Yeah, so I'm really glad that you have decided to interview me again.
I had to force you to come down this place.
No, I wanted to come.
No, I know.
I wanted to come.
I'm playing.
Yeah. No, I definitely wanted to come.
But thank you so much. I mean, this has been really lovely. I hope
It's
we'll
a pleasure.
recoup again.
Yes.
So, for anybody who's watching or listening, because we're now on iTunes as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah. As of last week, just got approved.
Really?
I
That's
just got
amazing.
approved.
Congratulations.
Hey.
Good job, guys.
Listen.
Good job.
We're not doing it on top of KICC hiding microphones anymore.
I loved
It's an upgrade.
I
it
loved
was
that.
really nice. It
I
was
loved
really
that
nice.
interview.
I got a
loved it.
place where it was too windy, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I just hope we get the audio, which we
got
still
some
did.
good. Yeah, we
Which
got
you
some
still
good.
did.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's watching, make sure you just subscribe to the YouTube. New videos every Friday, snippets during the week. iTunes, you can download, listening to it when you're going to work, when you're at home resting, chilling,
Exactly.
when you're at the gym,
Doing the vacuuming.
eating, or just doing your day-to-day duties or whatever you do during the day. So thanks a lot, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. That was nice.